Hebrews 5:12-13. There are people who are always wanting to be helped instead of being a help to others. As Paul said, for a little child, a 3-month-old spiritual baby, to be carnal and not to know what sin is or have victory over it is not worrisome. But when a man continues year after year in the same condition of always being conquered by sin, then something is radically wrong. Nothing can keep a child in prolonged infancy except a disease of some sort. If we have to say continually, I am not spiritual, then let us say, O God, I am carnal, I am in a diseased state and want to be helped out of it. Sin is in control. The second mark of a carnal state is that sin and failure are in control. Sin has the upper hand. What proof does Paul give that those people were carnal? After first calling them carnal, he asks, For whereas there is among you envying and strife and divisions, are ye not carnal and walk as men? 1 Corinthians 3:3. Then Paul says, For while one says, I am of Paul, and another, I am of Apollos, are ye not carnal? 1 Corinthians 3:4. You act like other people. You are not acting like heavenly, renewed followers of Jesus who live in the power and love of the Holy Spirit. You know that God, who loves us, dwells in light, and love is the great commandment. The cross of Christ is evidence of God's love, and the first fruit of the Holy Spirit is love. The whole of John's Gospel means love. When people give way to their tempers and pride and envying and divisions, when you hear people saying hurtful things about others, when a man cannot open his whole heart to a brother who has done him wrong and forgive him, when a woman can speak about her neighbor with contempt and says things such as, that miserable lady, or, oh, how I dislike that woman, all these are fruit of the carnal spirit. Every touch of unlovingness is nothing but the flesh. The word carnal is a form of the Latin word for flesh, and all unlovingness is nothing but the fruit or work of the flesh. The flesh is selfish and proud and unloving. Therefore, every sin against love is proof that the person is carnal. You say, I have tried to conquer it, but I cannot. That is what I want to impress upon you. Do not try to bear spiritual fruit while you are in the carnal state. You must have the Holy Spirit in order to love, and then the carnal will be conquered. God will give you His Spirit to help you walk in love. The struggle between the carnal state and the spiritual state is not only true in regard to the sins against love, but it also encompasses so many other sins. Take worldliness, which has filled the church. Take the love of money. Take the pursuit of business, making people sacrifice everything to increase their riches. Take our love of sports and being entertained, at home and even in the church. And see that so much of our lives is spent seeking after luxury and pleasure and position. What is all that but the flesh? It gratifies the flesh. It is exactly what the world thinks is desirable and delights in. And if you live like the world, it is proof that the spirit of the world, which is in the flesh, is in you. The carnal state is proved by the power of sin. Someone asked me recently, what about the lack of love of prayer? He wanted to know how the art of loving fellowship with God could be attained. I answered him, My brother, that cannot be attained in any way until you discover that it must come outside of the carnal state. The flesh cannot delight in God. That is your difficulty. You must not say or write down a resolution in your journal that you will pray more. You cannot force it. Let the axe come to the root of the tree. Cut down the carnal mind. How can you cut it down? You cannot. But let the Holy Spirit of God come with the condemnation of sin, and let the cross of Christ give the flesh over to death, and the Spirit of God will come in. Then you will learn to love prayer, and love God, and love your neighbor. And you will be possessed with humility and spiritual mindedness and heavenly mindedness. The carnal state is the root of every sin.